Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today I'm going to be doing a top 10 list. My top 10 modern gateway games. Now, what is a gateway game? A gateway game is usually a lighter, simpler game that people like to introduce new people to the hobby with. Now, there's this sort of Mount Rushmore of gateway games. You got your Dominion, your Ticket to Ride, your Catan, your Carcassonne. Pandemic could fall under that. But I want to do an updated version of that list of games that have come out in the last couple of years. Now, how I made this list, I wanted to take games from all different genres and put them together to make this list. And with that being done, let's jump into number 10. Number 10, Point Salad. Point Salad is this super simple and fast card drafting game where players are trying to collect ingredients for their salads. On your turn, you only have two options. Take a scoring card or take two veggies. At the end of the game, how you scored just depends on what type of scoring cards you took. It's a fun little silly game that will teach someone just the basics of drafting cards and set collection. This may be the fastest game you can teach in my entire collection. Number 9, Cubitos. Cubitos is this dice building racing game. It is cute and can play in under an hour. It will introduce the concept of the deck building genre to someone, but using dice building instead, which is pretty neat to myself. You will start the race out with all pretty subpar dice, but by the end you have this dice pool of some pretty powerful moves you can pull off. Plus, the cover makes me think of SpongeBob, so hey, why not introduce this to your kids? Number 8, The Crew. Now, The Crew is the game I would suggest for people to introduce to someone who likes card games. Mainly if they play trick-taking games like Hearts, Bridge, or Pinochle, since this is also a trick-taking game, but that is cooperative. So this might be a game you would introduce to maybe your parents or even your grandparents that have played similar games. There are 50 different scenarios you can pick from to play, starting with very easy to extremely difficult. So the game almost teaches you how to play before you start getting into the more complex scenarios. This also is one of my personal favorite games, and it's so fast. Most scenarios only take a couple minutes, but we usually end up playing this game for hours. Number 7, Space Base. Space Base is this card drafting, dice rolling game about building up your ship fleet. You start the game with some basic ships, but then as you buy better ships, the old ships get deployed above your board and flipped upside down and now gain a different ability if other people roll that number. It is interesting because towards the end of the game, you are gaining way more stuff on other people's turns than your own. So it is one of the few games I would rather it be another player's turn rather than my own. It is a fun game and there is a lot of dice rolling, so luck will be involved, so any player has the chance to win this. Number 6, Noctiluca. Noctiluca is a dice drafting set collection game. Players will be placing their pawns on the outside of the board and then taking dice of a certain number in one of the two rows that it is attached to so they can fill up their own jar cards. It is a fast teach and plays in about half an hour. The game looks great when set up with all the different colored dice laid about the board, and looking good never hurts when it comes to games. This is a game that I would say if any of your friends find Sudoku fun, this gives you that kind of puzzle solving feel of that. Number 5, Colt Super Express. Here's the 2020 filler version of Colt Express. This is a programming game where everyone will be deciding what actions they take in which order before the round starts, and then taking turns doing one action at a time, flipping over their cards. This is such a good time every time my group plays this game because it is just utter chaos. The rounds never go as anyone usually plans it, and people will be getting shot off the train, running in circles, and is just fun is the best way to put it. This is a game that for 3 months has had a permanent spot inside of my game bag. Also, I think it is one of those good ice-breaking games. Number 4, Silver and Gold. Silver and Gold will fill in my roll and write spot quite nicely. This is a polyomino placing game, which has been quite a trend recently, where you will fill in your cards with the shapes that are drawn, trying to complete as many cards as possible. The fact that you actually mark off your shapes onto the actual cards is neat unto itself and will intrigue a few people just by that. I've talked about this game before on this channel, and it is a game I actually got my parents to play, and they enjoyed it so much I gave them their own copy. That says a lot considering I can't get them to play any board games that look more complicated than Uno, plus I still really enjoy this game. Number 3, Fallout Shelter, the board game. Fallout Shelter will slot in for my worker placement game, which used to be held by Lords of Waterdeep. This is a game based on a mobile phone game, actually. Players will be building up the Fallout Shelter as best they can so they can be proclaimed the new overseer of the shelter, all while fighting off invaders from the outside world. It is simple, but yet has a surprising amount of strategy to it, so it can be a great for a gateway style game, but still offers players who like more complex games a little bit of girth to chew on. Number 2, Horrified. Horrified will be my cooperative game of choice here, even though the crew is cooperative, but in that game you aren't allowed to talk to each other. This game is all cooperative. All choices can be openly discussed, which really benefits new players. In Horrified, you will take control of a team of people, all with unique abilities, and try and stop all of the monsters in the village. All these monsters are different classic monsters, ranging from Dracula to Frankenstein to the Invisible Man. There are 7 different monsters total, and each game you can choose different combinations of these monsters on the board. Each monster is defeated in a different, unique way. Since this game has come out, my group has not gone back to base Pandemic. This has definitely taken over our cooperative game slot. Number 1, Century Golem Edition. Century will get the game of choice for this list, and I'm putting down the Golem Edition, which is just a reskin of Century Spice Road. I just think this version looks nicer and is more welcoming. This is a hand management engine building game. You will be collecting cards to use and trade gems in order to buy the Golem cards, which are worth points. It is a very simple game that you can teach in 5 minutes, and I think it looks really nice from the artwork to the different gems you are collecting. Anytime anyone tells me they haven't played any games since they played Monopoly as a child, I think about introducing them to this game. And that should do it for my top 10 modern gateway board games. And you could really rearrange these games any way you wanted, but the truth when it comes to gateway games is each person is different, so what they like or want will always be different. You just have to find any game that that particular person finds interesting, either the theme or the mechanics just intrigue them. In fact, the game that really got me so deep into this hobby was Scythe, and no one would put that game on a gateway game list ever. So everyone is different, but I always say that there is some board game out there that that particular person would love. There's just so many games nowadays. Comment below to let me know what games you love to use when showing new people the hobby. But that will adjourn this meeting, so if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly videos from me in the future. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.